Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com, and welcome to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, but we're also streaming live simultaneously, technology, on our Facebook and Twitter page for the Jet Zone, which is this podcast. Every Wednesday, we have a brand new episode of the Jet Zone talking all things New York Jets, nuggets, informational facts, and all kinds of other things as well. So glad that you guys could join us, whether you're old or new to the show. Make sure that you show your support. Like the video, hit subscribe down below. We're about 30 and change away from 2,000 subscribers on the old YouTube. By the time we're starting to record this, a little around 250-ish in that ballpark here on a Wednesday, June 22nd. So the support has been unreal. So even if you're watching on our Facebook page or Twitter page, or even listening to the audio after the fact, because we also upload this wherever you find your podcast, as well as an audio podcast only, if you prefer that medium. So feel free, even despite watching them and enjoying them in those other spheres, feel free to jump over and show your support here on the show. A couple of things to immediately get started. I'll set us up with our itinerary for what's coming up on today's show. Flight 2022. I mean, absolutely amazing. We will share. I went on a little mini vacation, or I would have done this part of the video sooner. Did a random first Father's Day, which I'll show you guys a gift I got. A couple of gifts, which are really nice. We'll bring that up on the show. And so I enjoyed that. Went on a trip where basically just a couple of days, we had Juneteenth, Monday off. And then I did not have a Syracuse Strong football game. So really, we had a bunch of days kind of off together. That does not normally happen for me. So we went off to Watkins Glen State Park and went hiking and did a lot of other fun jazz. So that was really cool. So we got to do that, and I got some cool gifts. We'll get into that in a second. But Flight 2022 is amazing. I'm going to play for you guys a couple of the clips that stood out to me. Now, another thing you guys can do on top of supporting the show is you can follow me on Twitter at BoyGreen25. And I've been doing it. I've got more to do. I have a little notebook in my book bag. It's in the car now. That has all kinds of highlights from Flight 2022, and I've been clipping them and sharing them out on Twitter to say, oh, wow, did you guys see this? Oh, wow, did you guys see this? I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Saturday Night Live skit with Chris Farley and McCartney, and it's like a mini talk show thing, and Chris Farley keeps going to McCartney, hey, you remember that one time, and you did that thing? Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. So there's a lot of that happening with Flight 2022, which I think was really cool. So I'll show you a couple clips on today's show. And for our audio-only listeners, you'll be able to hear the audio. Two of the clips I thought really stood out from the series, although there's so many more than that really stood out to me. Things you could take away on certain prospects and things of that nature. But two clips stood out. We'll replay those on the show. No matter where you're watching, feel free to drop a question or comment on the show. This is an interactive program. So you can feel free to say hello in the comments. We'll get to some of those here on the show. And on YouTube, you can support the show with a YouTube Super Chat, where you give a monetary tip to your lovely host, and you'll guarantee that you get your question and comment answered. Also, how could I not promote the Boy Green merch, baby? I mean, look at the beard. Wow, the beard is really growing. I've not gotten a cleanup yet. It's just kind of growing wild. I am using some more product. But Boy Green merch, it's down in the description down below. So you can get Boy Green pint glasses, t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies. I saw one of my Australian brothers from another mother got his pint glass in the mail. So shout out to my guy, which, again, you guys can always support the channel from that means. So we'll get into all of that here on today's show. And also, I got to support, of course, a local podcast. Look at this shirt for the visual. I will explain it to the people that are just listening on the audio. Let's see this shirt, baby. Booyah! It's the Sauce shirt. Sauce! Yes, we got the Sauce t-shirt on, Middle Initial Podcast. Shout out to my boys. Got to support local. Got to support fellow podcast as well. So shout out to the Middle Initial Podcast as well. Hopping in on YouTube, the big Lebroski. What's up, baby? What's poppin'? Welcome to the program. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We're going to get to a couple of news, notes, and quotes and different nuggets. There are a couple of additional nuggets as well coming in in terms of insiders and analysts and reporters and journalists giving their final 53-man roster prediction here at the end of June, and then how that will change with training camp in a month and the preseason games and all that fun jazz. But there's been interesting nuggets in each of those columns from Rich Cimini, Connor Hughes, and others, and I kind of want to explore a few of those as well. But I will do this one off the top. So I showed you the soft shirt. So again, shout out Middle Initial Podcast. But I had my first Father's Day. My little girl turns 5 months and 3 days. Wild. Seems crazy to say. But here's one of my gifts I got. Let me grab this. It's a nice little Jets action here. So I'll show it again to my people that are watching the live stream, and I will also describe it. I got like a little Jets picture, and it's got like a MetLife Stadium on it, a nice little cool carving, and then 3 pictures that are included. My Zariah Luna wearing a Jet shirt for the very first time, and then we got custom shirts. I'm wearing the Boy Green Jets Daddy shirt. She's wearing the Zariah Luna Serenity shirt. Really cool stuff. So shout out to the beautiful fiance for that. Really cool. So an awesome first Father's Day. I got a Jets wallet, custom Jets wallet that has Zariah in that Jet uniform on the wallet. So that's really cool as well. So like I said, some great first Father's Day, amazing, and how life changes for all of us that are watching in at home. All right, let's go to a couple of these clips. So let me pull a couple of these up. There are 2. One really stands out, so I'll save that for last. And then there was another one that was earlier in the series. We'll go to this one first. So I'm going to throw this up on the big board here, and I'm going to share my screen here and get to the Zach Wilson clip, which, again, I thought, to me, was just really cool. So we're going to throw it up on the big board here. Zach Wilson, on one of the episodes, was talking about he's in the film room. Really, he's at his house, but he's got one of the film watching, remote controls, and he's showing us the difference, of tape study and how things looked sloppy at first and then how they changed later in the season. So we're going to play this clip on the big board. Here's Zach Wilson from Flight 2022. So let's play this clip here for you guys.
Here's the play. It looks like almost every single person's, running the exact same route. I'm holding onto the ball. This just looks like a sloppy play. And then you fast forward, you get down to Buffalo, last game of the year. We get to almost exact same look right here. You get Keelan in the slot, and you almost get to see the distribution now of what the play is supposed to look like. There's not a ton of space there, but he's able to beat his guy, win. And it just kind of shows you when everybody's working together, how good we can be. You see in Denver, I get sacked for a 10, 15-yard loss, whatever it is right there. And then last game of the year, here's the progress. Now we're able to take one, go 50 yards and score on 4th and 5.
So I want to explain this. I'll explain this to just our listeners and also people who are even watching. So what Zach Wilson was describing there in this random clip from Flight 2022 is there was a play in the Denver Broncos game early in the season where the Jets had a tight bunch on the right side of the formation, and people made fun of what happened is that it looked like all the receivers were running a very similar route, and it was this discombobulated mess, and no one was open, and Zach Wilson gets sacked for this massive loss. And I remember Jet fans at the time, even myself, going, what the hell was that, Mike LaFleur? Like, it seemed dumb. Like, why would all these receivers be in the same place? Where the heck is Zach Wilson going to throw the football, right? So people made fun of that in the Denver game earlier in the year. Now, fast forward to, as Zach Wilson says, the final game of the season, they run that same play concept. And basically what Mike LaFleur cooked up is the 2 receivers are moving out. Keelan Cole stutter steps like when they hike the ball, he kind of stutters, takes a couple steps, stutters, and then cuts in for like this delayed slant look. And the defense doesn't understand what he's doing. So the delayed slant, they start covering something else, and then he cuts under. And they ran this on 4th down, and it ended up being the touchdown. I think that was Keelan Cole's only touchdown of the season. And he cuts it up for a touchdown. Denver, 10 or 15-yard sack loss. Terrible. And in Buffalo, it's a touchdown. But it just goes to show the progression, which I thought was really cool. So they had a lot of really cool behind-the-scenes stuff like that for Zach Wilson. Robert Saleh had some of those as well. So Zach Wilson going behind the scenes in the film, but the coolest one, let's get right to it. Flight 2022, the Jets 5-episode docu-series of behind the scenes going all the way back from, January, Senior Bowl to draft to free agency meetings and things of that nature. But this is the one that stood out for me. And the one, of course, we could talk about here on the show is Robert Saleh. This is at the end of the final episode. And Robert Saleh is obviously meeting with the teams for the first day of offseason training activities. And as he was meeting with them, he had a message for everyone in the room. And what we're going to do is we have the clip here. We're going to blow it up here. This is Robert Saleh addressing the team and talking about the gap that there is in the AFC East. Here's Robert Saleh again talking to his team. Here we go.
Whole story. We always talk about when you're writing the story of your own life, never allow another man to hold the pen. Period. We have a gap to close. And here's the real stat for you. We've got 12 consecutive division game losses. We've been outscored by our opponent 358 to 158. That's 16.6 per game. We have a gap to close. All right. Showing up is a first step, guys. How we grow and how we close that gap is going to depend on every person in this room, including me, myself. You guys feel me on that? That's real. 12 losses. Ain't for that ends this year.
And you just love that. I love all of it. So for those who, again, missed it again, Robert Saleh, the first day of OTAs, which I believe is like April 18th, if I remember correctly. So on April 18th, that first day that the whole team is gathered, this is a voluntary portion of the offseason, although Robert Saleh said they had really high participation numbers for that, he is in this meeting room. He's in this group, right? And he tells them about the horrible stat that is the Jets are 0-12 in the AFC East over the last 2 years. And their average margin, the overall numbers was basically they've been outscored 348 to 148. So they've been outscored by 200 points. Again, that is obviously abysmal. And he just said that, we could swear on this show, but, that shit fucking ends this year, right? Or like that shit ain't gonna fly, or that's not fun. However he said it, they censored it too much where I probably misinterpreted the quote. But either way, the point is that this crap ain't gonna fly anymore. And I just love that. That was my favorite clip from the entire Flight 2022 series from Robert Saleh. And again, right now it's just talk. However, you can see why people love Robert Saleh. You can see why people gravitate towards him. You can see why he's an easy guy to root for. I want to run through a brick wall for him, and I'm just some guy over here in New York doing a podcast. Who the heck am I? I could only imagine the players in that room that feel the aura, that feel the intensity in the room. So Robert Saleh, that was my favorite clip of the entire series. And of course it comes at the end, 5th episode, Robert Saleh addressing the room. That was so friggin' cool. And again, for all the people that whether you're on one side or the other and what you believe the Jets will do this season, whether you think they're going to suck, whether you think they're going to be mediocre, whether you think they're going to be average, whether you think they're going to be superstars, whatever your take is, the common denominator between all of these things is the divisional games. The divisional games, folks. That's how it's going to go. Whether they're going to be great, bad, piss poor, average, whatever, it's all going to rely on what happens inside the AFC East, which, by the way, is a division that the Jets have not won since 2002. That was, for those counting at home, 18 years ago. So it's been a hot second. And haven't won a friggin' game. Just one single game in the division in over 2 years. 0-12. If the Jets want to change the narrative, if the Jets want to flip the script, then the division is where it starts. And it's interesting how it splits up this year is that you have 6 games in the division every year, 2 against each of your opponents, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the Buffalo Bills. However, the first 3 games of the 6 of the 2022 season all come at home for the New York Jets. They all come at home. Those are the games to circle. The Dolphins, right? That's week 5. And then back-to-back Patriots Bills right before the bye week, which is 8 and 9 or something. Weeks 8 and 9, I believe the bye is 10. Whatever. The point is those are the games. If the Jets are going to be terrible, they're going to lose those games. If they're going to zoinks, make you rise up in your seat a little bit, that is where it's going to happen. So we will see ultimately if it does, obviously, as we progress our way forward. We talked about this a little bit last week, but it bears repeating, and then we'll get into all the free agency nuggets and things that I'm hearing and things we can share here on the show. The offensive tackle situation. So we got Mekhi Becton. We talked about it last week and how, again, I have a little bit of fear again, you're going to have fear till you don't have fear. I think Connor Rogers described that well on Badlands. Like, you're going to have fear until you don't have fear, till Mekhi Becton gives you reason not to have fear. And the only way that's going to happen is once we see him week one line up, okay, as we see him line up week one against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, that's when we're going to see it. However, the signs right now are not great. And I mentioned it last week, so I won't beat a dead horse here. But, you know, Robert Saleh not effusing praise in the same way that he did for Denzel Mims, in the same way that he did for Zach Wilson's beefy-looking ass, okay, for all these guys, is that we did not see that same level of praise for Becton. And again, the only reason we did not is because obviously he's not in shape. But guess what? It doesn't matter. It truly does not matter. We got 40 days for Mekhi Becton to hop on the treadmill and do whatever he needs to do to get ready, because I don't care. I don't care I don't care about the video game stuff. I don't care about any of that crap. If he's ready to go in training camp, and more importantly, week one, none of this crap matters. Now, on to George Fant real quick, which again, we also addressed last week. You know, according to a variety of insiders in their varied perspectives, Rich Cimini, Connor Rogers, and others, they believe ultimately a George Fant deal will get done, either heading into training camp or right before the season. George Fant, of course, entering the last year of his contract, okay, and none of that is guaranteed, by the way. A lot of people thought when this contract was originally signed and constructed, the Jets will hit the eject button heading into 2022. They'll get out of it easily. Obviously, they did not, and the obvious reason is George Fant played better than they would have possibly expected. So we have to see on the George Fant situation. Rich Cimini believes that, you know what, he will get a deal. We will see ultimately if that happens. I think there's a lot of things that are up in the air that make that contract difficult. I think Connor Rogers explained it well in terms of what should happen is that George Fant has no guarantee money this year. Give him some guarantee money this year, and then guarantee like half of it next year, and booyah, George Fant would be a happy man. Now, is that what he's going to be cool with? Does he want even more money? Left tackles get paid more than right tackles. That's just facts. So is George Fant the left tackle, right tackle? We don't know. And maybe the Jets are being somewhat coy about this because they don't want to reveal it, because that could hurt them in the negotiating room with one George Fant. So there's kind of a lot of stuff to figure out from that perspective. But long story short, I think they need to get a veteran in the room, which leads us into our free agency and trade discussion. Let's get into that, and then actually, we'll welcome in a few more people into the room. I'm seeing a bunch of people popping. Again, wherever you're watching, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, first off, like the video, hit subscribe, and show your support wherever you're watching. We're about 30-ish subscribers away on YouTube from 2K, baby, which is a massive milestone. So make sure you tell a friend, and make sure we try to get to that 2K mark sooner rather than later. That'd be awesome. Let's get a couple guys in here. Captain Tight End No. Hey, lads. What's happening, Captain? Welcome to the show. VR Hell Dago. Sup, everybody? Love the Super Bowl III championship ring of the profile picture. Very nice. We got RKO 316632. What's up, Boy Green? Just got my swag. Loving it. Okay. Make sure you send me the picture, RKO. I want to see it. Wherever you are. Twitter, Facebook, the gram, whatever. I want to see it, baby. I love it. Thanks for the support, brother. And again, link down below for Boy Green merch, like the Boy Green Pint Class, t-shirts, all that fun jazz. Make sure you see it. So RKO, brother, thank you for that. Thanks for the support, pal. Matthew Wright, Paulie. What's happening, Matthew? What's up, baby? Hey, how are you? Love it. Love it. We are doing great. Let's see. All right. Well, Matthew, let's get into your question. What do you think about getting Quan and Riley Reef now? So let's talk about, first off, the guy they lost, Larry Ogunjobi, the veteran defensive tackle who had been a member of the Cincinnati Bengals. He had been a member of the Cleveland Browns, and back in free agency, he signed a 3-year, $40.5 million contract with $26 million of that guaranteed. That is life-altering money for this young man. After signing a 1-year deal to join the Bengals, he thought, okay, now I'm going to hit it big. And unfortunately, he did not. He failed a physical. The Bears did not disclose the reason, but we could kind of play doctor because Larry Ogunjobi had a foot ankle injury in the playoffs, and surgery happened shortly thereafter. That makes a lot of sense for the reason potentially that there was some sort of failed physical from that perspective. So Larry Ogunjobi's off the board. He visited the Steelers, and the Steelers signed. Remember, they had a surprise retirement of their own end. I believe there was Stephon Tuitt on the defensive line, so they needed to bring somebody, and ultimately, according to Leger Douzable, the Jets gave Ogunjobi a take-it-or-leave-it offer. And the Steelers, who were more desperate, said, man, we'll get you in right now. And he signed there. So we lose Larry Ogunjobi. Now, the other two players that are hanging in the mix that the Jets have visited with are Quan Alexander and Riley Reef. I want to get to Connor Hughes' comment here. He had this in his article from this morning, and I tweeted out that juicy nugget is this. The Jets are still talking to linebacker Quan Alexander, and a deal could happen before training camp. Again, we shared this out earlier today, but I'll flip it up here on the screen. Just so people can see the tweet. And again, feel free to follow me at BoyGreen25. So there you go on the big board here. Connor Hughes that says the Jets are still talking to linebacker Quan Alexander, and a deal could happen before training camp. And again, that's when I expect most of these deals to happen from that perspective for any of the two. Now to your question, Matthew, what do I think about getting Quan and Riley Reef now? First off, Quan, and I'll just speak it to the answer to your question. Like Quan, I think is going to happen. There's Robert Saleh familiarity. The Jets have a linebacker need. Now, is he a starter? Technically in the 4-3 scheme, he would be that third linebacker, but I think he'd be pivotal depth, the break the glass emergency guy to potentially kind of be in the mix there from that perspective. And it would be dirt cheap. Like he's just been a bag of injuries, but I think he could convince himself, Quan, could convince himself, wow, Robert Saleh could get me back and I could dip into free agency one more time and I could get the big ticket next year. So I think a 1-year deal is going to happen there with Quan. Riley Reef, that's the big one to me. Again, I just mentioned it earlier. Veteran offensive tackle, so important to this team. They need to get something done from that perspective. Riley Reef is one where I'm not waiting anymore, regardless of how you feel about Mekhi Becton and George Fant. Let's just say you feel great about both of them, and there's good reason to feel good about both of them. Get Riley Reef as the break the glass emergency. Injuries happen. You don't want to be desperate. Let's say this, right? The Jets don't sign Riley Reef. Let's fast forward into August, and knock on wood, I don't want this to happen, so I'm not speaking it into the universe, but a guy goes down, then the Jets are like, oh man, Riley, we need you yesterday. That price tag's going to go up. So sign him now while the price tag is whatever the price tag is, and that's how you make it happen. So Quan, I think, is 100% getting done. It's a matter of when, not if. Riley, I don't have the same level of conviction because there's no direct line that I'm aware of from Riley Reef to the Jets outside of his visit. So the Jets need to kind of work on that one on their own. But I think Quan is 100% happening. Riley Reef, it's more so what's the best way to do this? I'd prefer Reef myself if I was making the choice. I believe the Jets are going to get Quan because there's a great relationship there. But Reef is TBD at this point. Let's go to Ed Vargas, and thank you, everybody who's watching. Again, the reason why, and I explain this every time, Ed Vargas's comment here is lit up is because he gave a wonderful and amazing, and I'm humbled by the $10 tip. And again, if you have the means, feel free to do so. On YouTube, you guarantee your comment or question gets answered, and it helps support the channel. We've gotten new merch, obviously. We've gotten new product for the new mic, and we've got this future mic. You can kind of see it off camera. I'm kind of flipping it over here. We got other cool new technology and different things we're doing, and it's only possible because of you, the fans. So let's get to Ed's comment here. Hey, Paul, you're the best. Do you think the staff developed the players to the level we need our team to be at? First off, Ed, again, thank you so much. These make the tremendous difference in being able to do everything I do. So, Ed, you've been a fan for a long time, and I love it. Yes, I do think so in a lot of respects. Now, what we've seen so far is the Jets plan work. Remember, there's been no injuries to speak of. And anything that there's been injuries, they've monitored it. For instance, Elijah Moore was kind of banged up a little bit, but nothing too serious. They just monitored his reps, and he still had a lot of great plays during those voluntary portions of OTAs and mandatory minicamps. So that's been great. And really, they haven't had the injuries. Now, they scaled everything back to prevent that, and so far it's worked. We will see in training camp because, as Robert Saleh said, you can't limit the contact. The contact's already limited according to the CBA. So we will see how that works. From a health standpoint, I do think the Jets' evolution of their strength and conditioning department and the analytics that are involved with reps and things of that nature are doing an amazing job. In terms of, the development of the players, I mean, we need to see. But I feel very confident. Like Mike LaFleur, was the best Jets offensive coordinator we've had since Chan Gailey. And Chan Gailey we always knew was a limited supply because he's old as hell. Like, he's older than dirt, for Pete's sake. So we knew that, that was only going to last so long no matter how good it was. And it was great in 2015, that magical year. 2,000-yard receivers. Fitzpatrick, second most passing yards in a Jets single season all time. Chris Ivory had 1,000 yards. Again, the offense was moving and grooving, scoring points left and right. They were explosive, amazing. I mean, spectacular. But in terms of the results, we'll have to see. But I feel, in terms of the feelings, Mike LaFleur, obviously, I feel really good about. I can't tell you the last offensive coordinator I had this much confidence in, which is a great sign. And I think with another year in the system, they're only going to be better. So I think the staff has done a great job from a health perspective so far. Obviously, we'll see what happens. And putting them in a good position. And then overall, coaching-wise, there is still a little TBD there. It is a results-oriented business, and results will speak for themselves. But thanks for the comment, Ed. Really appreciate it. Whoa, okay, we're behind in comments here a little bit. Let's see. RKO, Paul, trying to apply for a position in the NYJ. Know anyone from the inside? I know several, and I keep my foot in the water. Here's the thing. I'll be honest here. So you guys know a lot of the jobs I do. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. I write articles and do some of these shows. I do my own shows. I'm a voice of a semi-professional football team. Let's see. I do sports talk radio every day. So I do a lot of jobs. But I will tell you that I keep my foot in the water. So anytime that the Jets, official New York Jets, the team, the NFL team of the Jets, have a job opening, like, I get an email about it. So like they're looking for like a producer, editor behind the scenes for some of their videos. I haven't done video stuff since college for the most part, but I'm telling you, man, if the Jets, that's the dream job for me and always has been since I was a kid, is being like a team reporter, being a Eric Allen, being an Ethan Greenberg, being, all of these, Caroline Hendershot, like being those who was just recently hired, and shout out to her. Like, that's the dream job, working for the team and getting a salary from the team. And if they win the Super Bowl as a member of the team, I would get a Jets Super Bowl ring. I mean, that's so friggin' cool, man. So that's the dream job, but I love what I'm doing right now. So that's the only job that would take me away from what I'm doing outside of some other opportunity presenting themselves. So I know several, Eric Allen, Ethan Greenberg, Caroline, trying to think of everybody else. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people on the inside, which has helped me with a couple of stories. And, I've got great relationships on the inside. So the best I could do, though, is good luck. For instance, I had a reporter job, which is a big one I was looking for, but I was having a baby. So it was kind of this is a great job opportunity. Not that they offered it to me, but like I was thinking about applying for it. But I'm like, I'm about to have a baby. Oh, boy, is this the right time? Is any time the right time? And again, that could be a little difficult for sure. But RKO, try to get in. If you get in, let me know, man. That'd be awesome. But so we know a couple of people on the inside. Let's see. Let's go to Matthew Wright on this question. I get this question often. So Matthew, then why are they waiting so long? Ogunjobi, Quan, Reef. Here's my thing, and just to be blunt, it's kind of the reason why Gronk retired. Now, I think Gronk's coming back, by the way, so spoiler alert. But the fact of the matter is they don't want to do training camp. Or in some of these players in particular, like, again, nothing's going on for like 5 weeks. We're still going to do a podcast every single gosh darn week because there's always things to talk about. But on the greater level, and we could do great interviews and stuff. And by the way, Jericho Cotchery, baby, that was one of the coolest interviews I've ever did. If you haven't seen it, it's on the YouTube channel. When I set that up shortly after the Jets debuted Flight 2022, I reached out, got an immediate response. We were talking back and forth, but you can never promote an interview before you have it. I learned that lesson very early in my career. So Jericho Cotchery, and the coolest moment, and I sent that clip out on Twitter, was Jericho breaking down his own play from that Jets-Browns game where he popped his groin and dove for a diving catch, one of the coolest catches I've ever seen, and my favorite Jericho Cotchery moment, by the way. So again, check that out on the channel. We always have great interviews, live streams, and pre-recorded videos as well. Back to your question. Why are they waiting so long? These guys don't want to do all the nonsense. And really, there's no difference to us fans and to the players between signing on June 22nd and July 22nd. Makes no difference. Like, when they start reporting for training camp, which I believe is July 26th, I believe the dates just came out, like, that's when it's going to happen. Why are they waiting so long? Because there's no rush anymore. They didn't want to go to mandatory minicamp, and why would they? They get paid the same whether they were there or not. So that's really the fact of the matter is there's no hard deadline. I've explained this before. So nothing really to do with it, with anything. And the other thing that I just talked about, so Ogunjobi is a great example, right? So the Jets gave him an offer, according to Leger Dusable. They put it on the table, and I imagine it wasn't $50 million. So Ogunjobi was like, okay, that's fine, but I bet I can do better. And the perfect situation happens. The Steelers have a retirement, surprise retirement, like, oh, shoot, now what are we going to do? Oh, wait, Ogunjobi's out there, and then a desperate team calls him up and gives him more money than the Jets would have, and booyah. So that's why you wait, because like you can't get hurt. Like Quan, the job for Quan, in theory, is going to be here June 22nd. It's going to still be here July 22nd. Now, someone else could get injured in the NFL, and Quan can either turn to the Jets and say, hey, you want to match this, or I'm piecing. So again, it only helps them, quite frankly, to wait. Long story short. Dark Soldier Crew! What's poppin', baby? And I got the, let me hide that real quick. I got the Sauce shirt on. Again, if you guys missed it earlier, let me show that to the screen from the Middle Initial Podcast. Check it out. Sauce shirt, baby. Sauce. Nice job there from the Middle Initial Podcast. Got to support your fan. But Dark Soldier, welcome to the show, baby. Welcome to the program. Let's see. LT. JD was a beast working the phones in Flight 2022. I got to tell you, that was another scene that I should have showed, which would have been another great clip in the draft room. So the Jets get Sauce Gardner. They obviously wanted Sauce, the shirt I'm wearing, for a long time. Makes sense. Then at 10, they get Garrett Wilson. I will also share that clip out. Like, they were this close. I don't know if you guys saw it in the video. They hinted at it. Unless you knew the behind-the-scenes story, it meant nothing to you. The Jets were this close to trading with the Seattle Seahawks and jumping from number 10 to number 9. This close. They were about to do it, and then you saw one of the Jets, part of their pro personnel staff, turn to Joe Douglas and went, no. That no was not to do the trade. Hold on tight. My sources are telling me you don't have to. Stay at 10. You could still get Garrett Wilson. And ultimately, Seattle was afraid someone was going to take Charles Cross. So they say, never mind. We're not going to trade. We're going to stay at 9. Take Charles Cross. Jets get Garrett Wilson. So I'll share that clip out. And again, that Jets-Seahawks trade was this close to happening. The Jets moving up to make sure they got Garrett Wilson, which, by the way, is an interesting fun fact. Now, after they do that, they celebrate, woo, we got G-Dub, we got Sauce, this is cool. When they see Jermaine Johnson slipping down the board, as Joe Douglas has said on countless occasions, starting at 15, he starts, you see the kind of montage of phone trade calls. Joe Douglas on the phone. And you see all these reactions, right? Like, damn it, we were so close. Or, is it going to happen? And all these things. Another great Jets draft story is the Kansas City Chiefs trade up to the number 21 overall pick. And you see Joe Douglas visibly frustrated, like, son of a gun, we lost him. The Chiefs are moving up for Jermaine Johnson. They end up moving up for Trent McDuffie, the Washington corner. And you see Joe Douglas go, woo, bullet dodge there. We're still on, baby. And interestingly enough, the Chiefs were this close to taking him at their other first-round pick that they got from the Tyreek Hill trade. They drafted George Karlaftis, another defensive lineman out of Purdue. So they coulda, shoulda, woulda taken Jermaine Johnson. So they were this close for it to not to happen. So I got to be honest. Yes, Joe Douglas working the phones, that whole scene. And then after the Tennessee Titans deal, because remember, Tennessee Titans only had one first-round pick. Then they had 2 from the A.J. Brown trade to Philadelphia. So at that time, they didn't want to trade that first one to Joe Douglas because they wanted Treylon Burks. There's all these fun draft stories. So Joe Douglas is like, damn it, I thought I had the Titans. And then on the Titans' other pick, Joe Douglas is like, hey, can we make a deal? And they're like, sure. John Robinson, the general manager down in Tennessee, says, yeah, let's do it. And Joe Douglas gives a thumbs up to the room, gets off the phone, and he's like, we're on the bleeping clock, baby! And the whole room blows up, gets excited. They end up with Jermaine Johnson. That was an amazing clip. There was a lot of really cool moments during Flight 2022. And I know that the Jets were up for Hard Knocks this year. And Hard Knocks is cool. Again, we'll never forget Rex Ryan. And let's go get a goddamn snack. And there's so much other great, the Revis, Roscoe, Tannenbaum. Like, there's a lot, Cromartie. There's so much fun moments in Hard Knocks. And Hard Knocks is well produced. I enjoy watching it, whether it's the Jets or not. I'm a big NFL fan on top of being a Jets fan. However, what the crew does there in the Jets 360 staff, which is what they're called, the 360 Productions, I mean, they do amazing work. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, all the front-facing guys, but all the guys behind the scenes, camera work, editing, the editing bay guys, like, oh, wow, they do an amazing job. And we have our own version of Hard Knocks thanks to Flight 2022 and One Jets Drive Productions, which does that every year. So tip of the cap. That was so cool. And I got more videos to share. They're all in my notebook. I just got to keep clipping them up and sending them out on Twitter. Matthias here. I'm pretty sure Joe Douglas knows how to handle business. We cry even before the draft about who we need, but it turned out Joe Douglas did a very good job. Trust Joe. 100%. And I've said this before that, like, you know, obviously I'm a very opinionated guy. I got my own podcast, got my own show where I yell about all kinds of things that I have opinions on regarding the Jets. But I didn't think Sauce was going to be the guy. And I love Sauce, but I just there was just a mental block saying they're not going to take a corner number 4 overall. That's what all your 49ers people told you. That's what everyone told you. Like, it's not going to happen. And then it happened. So I'm fine if they don't do exactly what I say. Now, I may complain about certain things later, but, you know, Sauce I didn't see coming. Garrett Wilson I didn't even see coming. Like, I had other receivers, Drake London. Who else did I have? I'm blanking, but I had like other receivers ahead that I thought, I felt Jameson Williams, I thought really highly of. So there was other guys I felt better. Jermaine Johnson, obviously, I was not a Jermaine Johnson guy coming up, but I love to be, I'm okay being wrong and them taking somebody else. That's the fun part of the draft for sure. So we'll see what happens. I think they will sign a couple more guys, but again, most important to me is certainly offensive tackle. Let's go back to Matthew right here on YouTube. What are your thoughts on the Jets running back room getting ranked 23 or 24th? I think that's bullshit. A lot of teams got ahead of them with trash running backs. Again, there's going to be a lot of proof in the pudding here, Matthew, to be honest with you. For all this stuff, right? Let's kind of put this all in a bucket, right? The Jets being ranked as one of the worst teams in the power rankings. Zach Wilson being ranked in the bottom of the barrel of quarterbacks. Like, it's going to be prove it, shut up until you prove it. That's the situation. So running backs, right? So Michael Carter, who was injured last year in spot starts, was very good. And then you have Breece Hall, who I think is going to be a superstar. And I'm not going to say this often because I want to keep my fantasy football notes to myself because I'm a massive fantasy football fan. But I'm going to try to take Breece Hall in every fantasy football draft that I can within reason, depending on ADP. I think he's going to be a stud. I think he could be the first Jets offensive rookie to win that hardware in history. No other Jets rookie on the offensive side of the ball has ever won the Rookie of the Year award. I think Breece Hall will be up for it. I think Michael Carter's also going to have a big role. So in terms of the ranking, is it trash? Obviously. I think the Jets are going to be much better than that placement, but they're going to have to prove it. No one knows about Breece Hall. Right now, he's an unnamed rookie. Who knows what he's going to be? Michael Carter? Who knows? Okay, he had a lot of injuries last year. Can he stay healthy? Other guys in the room, Tevin Coleman. Not sure he tickles the fancy for some people. Ty Johnson, Mr. Stonehands, LaMichael Pirine. Like all these guys, Zonovan Knight, they're just guys right now. So right now, while I agree that you should and can be angry about the rankings from wherever that site was, for me, I have to be blunt. I have to be honest with you that, well, at the end of the day, they're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to shut people up. And again, they haven't won. They have one winning season in the last 11 years. That almost makes me, I almost want to cry after saying that, but it's true. One winning season in 11 years. That was 2015. And they were 10-6. They didn't even make the gosh darn playoffs that year. So it's been a lot of bad. But they need to prove the doubters wrong. That's just the simplest way to put it. Let's see here. RKO. Dream job for me too. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for you, buddy. That would be cool. I've known a couple of people that I knew them before, and then they got gigs with the Jets either as a graphic designer or photo guy or anything, and I'm jealous. I'd love to go to One Jets Drive every day for work. Dark Soldier. That crew always makes my day. And by the way, Dark Soldier, I don't even know how that started. Do you know? Do you know the genesis, the origin story for that? I don't even know why or when I started doing that, but it just feels right. Love it, Dark Soldier. Let's go to Ragna Jet here on YouTube. This is not the same, quote, same old Jets this year. When was the last time Jets had so many national personalities and top analysts talking this way about the Jets? I think they know what they are seeing. Yeah, Peter Schrager, Daniel Jeremiah. We've had the players run, right? Like Gerald McCoy, Robert Griffin, David Carr, all invited to the cookout this year. Thank you, fellas, for your contributions for Jets Pump Up. Dan Orlovsky is another one. Yeah, there's been a Rich Eisen. There's been a lot of guys pumping us up, which is cool. Cool to see. It's been a long time since, unfortunately, we've had that kind of pub, and hopefully they live on it. Right now, they have one primetime game, two primetime games. You count the preseason Monday nighter against the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds, but only one in the regular season. That's a Jaguars game, and I can't wait till they hopefully live up to the hype. And this is an exciting team for me personally, and I really hope that they blow it up, man, because that's going to be really fun. So it is fun to see. I haven't seen that kind of talk since, because 2015 came out of nowhere, so there was no one talking about the Jets then, like preseason. It's probably the AFC Championship years, like heading into 2011, right? They had back-to-back AFC Championship games. Now it's like getting over the hump. Like people are saying, oh, was that it? Or, is this a sign of things to come? They're going to be here for a long time. Yeah, it feels great. It's better when you're talked about in that light. Some people like being under the radar. I like being talked about. We're New York, baby. I love it. VR Heldago, when the Jets win the chip, history will unfold like the Bible and Ozzy, and life was good. Yeah, I hope so. That would be amazing, and I can't wait. I know it's going to happen. I believe, and I can't even imagine. So I know we talked about this before, and it's sacrilege, and I don't talk about it often. This is the Jet Zone. This YouTube show, YouTube channel, rather, is all Jets talk, nothing else. But I've seen my other teams win championships. The Boston Celtics won in 2008. I watched out my father in New York. We just moved up here to New York. I watched that with him. That was special. I've seen the Red Sox win several championships. That's cool. But my number one team, my number one sport is the New York Jets. And football is my number one sport. Watching the Jets win the Super Bowl, I can't explain because obviously it's never happened before. But I look around my hat. I mean, Jet hat, got the Support the Troops on, got the Sauce T-shirt. Everywhere I look, I just got Jets. I don't have Celtics or Red Sox or Syracuse. I don't have any of that on my walls. It's all Jets. It's green. I bleed green. If I got shivved tomorrow in the kidney, green blood would be pouring out of my body. So I am all in on the Jets, and I can't wait till they win the chip. That's going to be such a special moment. And we're going to go back to all these moments of trial and tribulation, because to me, that makes it sweeter when we win. I know it's not great in the time, the Adam Gase years and all this other crap, but when we eventually win, this is all going to be worth it. So I can't wait. Dark Testing, 1, 2, 3. Sorry about that, guys. Just not sure what happened there. So hopefully you guys can hear me. I got sacked in the pocket. I don't know what happened there. New. Let's bring that back up. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me good. Let me know if you can. I'm not sure what happened there. But anywho, not sure what I was talking about. But yeah, sorry about the quick technical difficulties. I will say that, quite frankly, we have had like no difficulties with this new setup. So coming through now. Okay, thank you, VR Heldago, for that. Yeah, not sure what happened there. But anywho, yes, I will say this. The thing that made me feel really good about the head coach front office combination, why it was real. Now, it's easy for front offices, right? I'm going to take you off, Dark Soldier, just so I can talk here. It's easy for head coach GM combinations after the draft to say, oh, George Karlaftis was the number one player on our board. Sure he was. We can't fact check that. We don't see your draft board. But for them to say, like the Jets front office, to say, come out and say, oh, wow, Jermaine Johnson was 8th on our board. This guy was this. And then to see the video to back it up, it's not like they fake those reactions, right? Like, I get that the Jets edit their docuseries, so they only show us what they want. That's the edit. But they didn't fake these reactions. Those are all genuine. Those are real. So that, to me, is a thing that made me feel very good about that. So to your point, Dark Soldier, 100%. That made me feel good to see the genuineness, and that's really what really attracts me to Robert Saleh, the genuineness about all of that, which really makes me feel good. Let's go to a few more comments here before my computer explodes, apparently. The optimistic NY fan, definitely betting Brees the Beast for Offensive Rookie of the Year. If you know, you know. Yes, actually, Michael Carter was mic'd up in one of the practices, and he, again, is pumping up this nickname that he's the voice. First off, any nickname that needs an explanation is kind of like Boy Green. I mean, I think it's somewhat self-explanatory. Boy Green, Green, Jets, all that stuff. Like the voice, like Michael Carter explained this on Eric Allen, the official Jets podcast, that he's the voice, like the voice for the locker room and blah, 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 blah. There's a whole story. And like, so first off, you can't nickname yourself. That's weird. As whoever said that, that's weird. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And number two, like, again, a nickname that you have to explain. I've told this story before. This will be on a trivia night in the future. My other nickname, again, I didn't give myself the Boy Green nickname. My radio partner did when I was an intern at the radio station. I came in and he said, hey, all interns get a nickname they're stuck with for the rest of their life. And I'm like, oh boy, what the heck is he going to come up with? I have no idea. And as Tommy Boy would say, no idea. Well, I got to tell you that, he said, so he thinks about it, right? Goes home, thinks about it. And then he comes back to the radio station like a week later or something, says, I got it. I'm like, okay, lay it on me. What do we have? He says, there was 2 nicknames I was considering. He started with the first one that obviously was not the nickname. He said, Elroy. I'm like, come again? Elroy? What do you mean? He's like, oh, Elroy from the Jetsons, the Jets. Boom. That's your nickname. I went, ugh. I'm like, this is not good. First off, what I just explained with the voice, I'm going to have to explain that nickname to everyone. They're just going to think that's like my middle name. If I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Paul Elroy Edson Jr., they'd be like, okay, he's just saying his middle name. Like, they wouldn't know it's a nickname. Then I have to go, whoa. Actually, it's a nickname. The Jetsons, the Jets. Get it? Like, ugh, can you imagine? How many of you people would even be subscribed to this channel if my nickname was Elroy? So that sucked. And then he said, but the nickname I came up with is Boy Green. At first, I didn't think Boy Green was terrible. I just went, Boy Green. All right, that could grow on me like a fungus. And here we are. Paul Boy Green Esden, the Bram, the everything all over the place. So go figure. But again, on going back to Michael Carter here, the voice, again, you can't give yourself your own nickname. It breaks the rules. And so he's trying to play that up. He does not like apparently MC or I can't remember, MC Hammer. I can't remember what Joe Douglas called him, but again, he was not a fan of that. So he's trying to get the voice in. So he did this mic'd up series, and he was saying, hey, it's a voice here. And everyone's like, well, you don't even have merch. So maybe he's going to work on some voice merch, but the voice is kind of is covered up, though. So, that could have worked. And what was the other one? So, yeah, Brees the Beast. He said, oh, what's up? Who is this? And Brees introduced himself as the Beast. So we will see if he lives up to that hype. VR Heldago. Technical difficulties. Please stand by. We're past the technical difficulties, but everyone, that's a healthy reminder. Hit the like button on the video. Hit subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 2K. We'll see if we get it by the end of the video. We started out like 38 away, something like that, when we started the Jet Zone show, like an hour ago. So we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. The Optimist, thought my internet cut out. Glad to know it wasn't just me. No, I was kind of stunned by it because I thought it was like other people. I was like, what the hell? Because like I said, we've never had any technical difficulties on the show, so my apologies for that. And for the audio listeners that just hear it cut out for no reason, then I start talking later. VR Heldago, the voice of good TV show on NBC. Is that the one where you have the button and you turn in the chair? I don't even know. I've never seen that show, but maybe that's the voice. Maybe that's not. Maybe that's like the X Factor. I don't know. Like, that just would have been weird. But no, I've never seen that show. I've only seen clips. So I'm not sure if that's a red button one and the turning chairs, like Adam Levine or something's on that show. I don't know. Let's see. Dark Soldier. I placed bets on Brees to win Offensive Rookie of the Year and Sauce to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Let's go. Okay. The Brees one, I think, was juicy. He's probably among the favorites. Sauce, corners are hard. They got to get a lot of interception numbers to go up. But the thing that will help is the New York market, and that could help as well. Let me guess, Grizzly Adams. No, I did not always have this beard. I've only had a long beard like this twice in my life. Once was probably 2014-ish, somewhere in there, like 7-8 years ago. I was in my early 20s, probably somewhere in there. I'm aging myself now. And so I did not have that when I started the radio show. So no, there was no beard. Knobcroft. Okay. Elroy's pretty excellent, though. Okay. You're the first person to ever say that on the Elroy name. So I love it. That's awesome. PEE. Ooh, that's another one I didn't think of. Middle name Elroy. Yeah, I know. I felt like that could have been it. I felt like that could have been it, too. Let me get to real quick before we get to any more questions. Real quick, I want to make sure I fulfill the headline. The other trade nuggets to keep in mind, and I wrote a column about this. You guys can check it out. Heavy on Jets. Mike White could be traded. Now, let me explain the whole shish kebab, but you can read my full column. It's up on Heavy on Jets on Facebook. Like the page and hit the community. 20,000 Jet fans over there. It's a fun place for you guys to kind of chit chat and talk and all that jazz. But Connor Hughes in his roster 53-man projection, again here in June, so a couple months early, but in his projection, he had the Jets keeping all three quarterbacks, Mike White, Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson. However, he said that there is a scenario where the Jets keep just Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco and trade Mike White to the highest bidder. And he cited the 2022 draft class basically sucking at the quarterback position. I mean, one went in the first round, and the second one didn't go to like Ritter and Malik Willis, like in the third-ish round. So, there was kind of a lack of talent there in the QB class in 2022. So he says, hey, a team, if they have an injury or whatever, could turn around, call Joe Douglas up and say, hey, that Mike White guy who's in the Hall of Fame, for Pete's sake, we'll give you a mid-rounder for him. And then the Jets, in theory, would say, okay, let's make a deal. Because he's only on the one-year deal he signed as an RFA for $2.4 million. So he may not be long for New York. Maybe he is. Maybe Joe Flacco plays this year. He's all says, I'm retiring, and Mike White becomes a long-term backup. I don't know. However, I think there is a case to be made to trade Mike White if he has a strong training camp in preseason. Again, wrote the story. It's up on Heavy on Jets because it just makes sense. The Jets are becoming a more talented football team. The Jets are becoming a better team in general, which is going to make these roster cuts harder and harder to execute. It changes the dynamic to only carry 2 quarterbacks as opposed to 3. If you carry 3, then some other position's going to get some bacon taken off the table. If you go to 2, you have an extra spot to play with. Defensive line, maybe. A lot of talent over there. Now, who's getting cut? There's a couple off the top of my head that are getting cut. Jabari Zuniga, he's not long for New York. Bradley Anai, a guy I like, but there's not a spot for a developmental guy that isn't a draft pick like Michael Clemens is there. He's on the squad. You got a variety of guys. They've got 17 defensive linemen on the roster right now. 17. And they're going to keep about 10, maybe 11. 12 would be aggressive. I think it's at an 11-10 range is what they're going to keep, which means if you're at 17 now, you got to cut 6. And again, there's some quote-unquote easier ones with Zuniga, Anai, Tanzel Smart, guys of that nature, okay? But there's a lot of other ones. What do you do with, guys like Bryce Huff? I love Bryce Huff. I don't want him to go anywhere, but in Rich Samini's projection, Bryce Huff's cut. Vinny Curry, they just signed that guy, and he has like 90% of his contract guaranteed. You're going to cut him and just eat the loss? Like, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be some tough choices, but if you're able to flip Mike White for a 5th, I don't know, 4th maybe, something like that, then all of a sudden, whoa, we flip a guy that we're going to lose anyway. We have our 2 quarterbacks, and we'll be able to, on the expanded practice squad, which is 16 members, you can hide another practice squad quarterback down there and protect him every week. So you could do that. So that could be a way around it, potentially, to make some sense. Some other trade talk to keep an eye out for. Bryce Hall. Rich Samini said he could garner some interest. Connor Hughes predicted that he could get traded. He's another guy. Again, personally, I'm keeping Bryce Hall. I'm not trading him. Why the heck would I trade Bryce Hall for Pete's sake? This is a guy that has experience after last year. He was a nice find. I'd rather have the experience, right? Like the Jets have completely remade their secondary. They got Sauce, Ahmad Gardner, Okay, DJ Reed, Michael Carter II, good 3 starters. But behind them, you have Brandon Echols, who has experience last year, great, and Bryce Hall, great. And then they're probably going to keep Javon Guidry. But whatever, you have guys that can step in if an injury happens. Why the heck would you give that up for what, a fifth, a fourth, a third, maybe? Like, that's not good enough. That doesn't tickle the testes, man. Heck no. Well, if I'm going to move a guy, it better be like get me up in my seat on a Madden trade, like a second rounder. Okay. And that's not really going to happen. But if that happened, I'd think about it. But a third, fourth, I don't know. They invested a fifth of him in anyway. And he's still got 2 more years. It's not like he's a rental. So the Bryce Hall stuff, I push against. I don't want to. I want to keep the depth and lock that in. So Mike White's been discussed. Bryce Hall's been discussed. And then I'll have a future column about this at some point this week. With the absolute depth on the defensive line, the Jets could flip one of those guys for a pick instead of cutting them. So that could be a path as well because they can't keep everyone. They got 17 guys on the roster. It's like, almost a fifth, a little more than a fifth of your 90-man roster are all defensive linemen. So there's going to be a lot of people, 31 other teams that are waiting on one Jets drive outside in the bushes by that one guy who was taking pictures of Robert Saleh. There's going to be people out there waiting to see who the Jets cut on the defensive line because they're going to scoop ski potato is what's going to happen there at that point. So keep an eye out for that. So, again, free agent Nuggets, I told you, Quan, I believe, will sign. It's a matter of when, not if. Riley Reeve, I want them to sign, but no clear connection. We will see. That's a TBD situation. And then potential trades to watch out for. Mike White, Bryce Hall, summer training camp action. That could be something to see. Let's answer some more questions here before we wrap up. VR Heldago, what's your take on LTRT Phantom Becton? Talked a little bit about this earlier, but I'll circle back here because it's important. To me, from some of these Robert Saleh interviews, it sure sounds like to me that George Fant is going to be the left tackle, and Robert Saleh is going to make this announcement maybe a week after camp starts. So camp starts July 26th. I believe that's when the veterans report, the rookies report about a week earlier. And I believe there's going to be a little pomp and circumstance like, ooh, who knows who it's going to be? And then ultimately, George Fant is our guy and Becton is our guy because they need to practice where they're going to play. Like, we got to play week 1 against the Baltimore freaking Ravens, man. We can't be playing musical chairs. Like, to play left tackle versus right tackle, there's a tremendous difference there. So that's a little bit, quite frankly, what I'm worried about from that perspective. So I am a little concerned there, and that's why I want them to make sure that they find a way, to get that done sooner rather than later. So I imagine that's going to happen about a week after camp. I imagine a week after camp, we're going to have that announcement for that. My take, in a perfect world, Becton just takes his job back at left tackle, but I don't feel overly confident about that. There have been times this offseason that I felt overly confident about that, and there's been times where I have not. So we will see. But ultimately, my gut reaction is Fant is left tackle, Becton is right tackle, and that's how it works. I think Fant will get that extension. It's a complicated extension. As long as Fant's cool with a shorter-term deal, then it's not complicated. But if he's not, that's where you get into a tough pill there. The optimistic NY fan, love the Hat Boy green. Again, I will show it eventually. I keep teasing it. My entire wall, you see kind of this hallway back over here, yonder. My entire wall from floor to ceiling is hats. Most of them Jet hats. And I've got Support the Troop hats. I love this one. Obviously, my family is military born and bred, so I love supporting the troops. And I've got all kinds of ones. I got some on my desk. I like the Jets draft hat. You can see that over my shoulder. And that other one, what is that one? Oh, yeah, and then my old school Jet hat with the Jet logo on it, the actual Jet. So I am a big hat guy. I am a collector of hats. So thank you. I love that. Dark Soldier, I also place bets on them to win the AFC Championship in the Super Bowl. Good Lord, Dark Soldier. I need your job. You got a lot of scratch apparently working around here. Let's keep going here. Keep it simple, RC. Has Breece Hall signed his rookie deal? No. 3 rookies have not. Michael Clemens, Breece Hall, and Max Mitchell are the 3 unsigned draft picks left. But as we've seen with a lot of these teams, and it's better that they're just kind of mid-rounder. Again, Breece Hall's a second-rounder, but Michael Clemens and Max Mitchell are both fourth-rounders, and Breece Hall's a second-rounder. This should come together very quickly, I ultimately believe, from that perspective. So But those three are unsigned. Again, Michael Clemens, Breece Hall, and Max Mitchell are the three that are left unsigned. Had to pull that up real quick as I saw that question coming down the pike. Those are the three. They're unsigned. All the rest of them are signed at this point. Dark Soldier, I don't think they will win. I placed a bets of the huge payout, which is great. Which, again, I think someone bet $5,000 of the Jets. Are talking about this on Get Up, and if they're right to win the Super Bowl or win the AFC East, or it had to have been the Super Bowl, and they will get $1 million payout. Hey, if you could get the money, get the money. Keep it simple, RC. Boy Green, man of a million hats. That is true. I will have to live up to that billing by showing you guys a picture in the near future. Stay tuned to my social media for that. All right, we just cleared the hour mark, partly due to technical difficulties. I digress. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure that if you're on the channel, check out what else is around if you're new or old. We interviewed Jericho Cotchery, Jets legend, my favorite New York Jet of all time. What an amazing interview. That's up on the channel. We have other insider interviews that will be coming up. Guys, just stay tuned to the channels. I got a couple other juicy interviews scheduled coming up here for the summer. We never take a break. We've got this podcast every Wednesday. Like I said, you can support the channel with Boy Green merch. The pint glass I just showed you on camera. We also have shirts, tank tops, all that jazz. That is down below. That helps keep the lights on and things of that nature. So feel free to do that, guys. And as always, like the video, hit subscribe down below, and show your support wherever you're watching, either after the fact or here live with us. All right, thanks everybody. We will sign off here and have some more coming up for you here on the channel. So I hope you guys can check it all out. Thank you, everybody, and peace out. We'll see you next time.